Good afternoon. Today is December 13th, Thursday. It's 1 p.m. My name is Jeff LaRouche, and I have a special guest with me, and your name is, ma'am?
Kimberly Jones.
Hi, Kimberly. Today is courage. Today's show is light at the end of the tunnel, and today's word is courage. And I made a video yesterday talking about this young lady's story, and she's back with me today, and she wants to tell the world her story and how she overcame her situations, her struggles, and had a lot of courage to do that. So Kimberly, if you wouldn't mind sharing your story, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to be clean another day. I've got 6 years, 2 months, and 1 day clean. And it's been a path of trials and tribulations for sure over the last 6 years. A few things that I've been through is surgeries in recovery, relationships, intimate relationships in recovery, family relationships in recovery are always another subject that's difficult. Going to different types of 12-step fellowships that have their own they have their own problems.
Right.
When there's a lot of people in a small community, your business becomes everybody else's business.
Correct.
But I continue to go. I believe in it. It's what I do for my recovery. But I also don't go as much as I used to, and I tend to keep more to myself today than I did in the very beginning.
I'm glad that you said that, because I think that it's important. Like, I stopped going to meetings too. I mean, I believe in it too, but at the same time, that's kind of why I opened up this channel, because it's more personal. You get to, sit at home and you get to talk about your situations, your struggles, and how you overcome them. So that's a huge point that you make, Kim. NA meetings and reading the books isn't for everybody.
No,
but being able to share your story and overcome your tragedies and bettering yourself, and you do that by talking.
Yeah, and that it doesn't matter what type of forum. It's always about, giving back what was so freely given to you. So whichever way that works for somebody, whether it be online forums, going to meetings in person, only having a few close-knit people. Some people just go to work and come home. However you choose to give back, I guess, is the most important thing. And over the last probably 2 months of my recovery have been really trying. I was in a relationship for almost 4 years, so this coming spring would have been 4 years that we were together. And last year, around the same exact time, I went through a situation of being cheated on by this individual whose mom was sick in the hospital. She had been sick for a while, and we were both taking care of her. And when people don't deal with things that are going on in situations like that, they tend to act out in other ways.
Right.
And I know that even for myself, and especially like right now, I'm not going to lie, like the last couple of weeks have been really hard for me in my debit card, because I feel a certain way inside. I think that the more that I buy, I'm like going to buy my way out of this feeling.
I mean, in a sense, I mean, that could be like some sort of addictive behavior, but at the same time, you're not really hurting other people. I mean, you might be hurting your pocket a little bit.
Yeah, my bills are paid first and foremost.
But you'll feel better, right?
Yeah.
You'll feel better? Okay.
I try to make myself feel better by buying things, but I know I'm doing it. I'm aware of it,
Right.
And I call myself out on it. I tell people about it. I call my sponsor about it. But he chose to step out of the relationship. And I found out via social media. Gotta love social media.
Instagram.
But the female had actually reached out to me to tell me, and that was really hard. It was hard to. I already knew that it was kind of coming though. That's who he had been. Like our entire relationship was this guy who flirted and talked to every female and like really needed that validation from another woman.
What's that word that you were telling me about today? Like we looked it up a little bit, but there's a certain word, but there's two words that go with the description of how you think that this person is. And in reality, we don't realize who these people are really You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the word that you said to me?
So it's a term, it's called narcissism. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard that term before. And I actually have been doing and reading a book on narcissism and how to survive relationships with narcissists because I grew up in a home with a narcissist. So, and it, and it explains in there that you tend to be drawn to people who are narcissists when you grow up in a home with a narcissist. But it had this very distinct, because I guess there's different forms of narcissism. And
we discovered four,
yeah, they were saying. But this certain kind is called the communal narcissist. And it's somebody who does a lot of things for people, but needs the validation for doing the things. They don't just do things out of empathy, because narcissists lack empathy.
So that's where I had talked about previously in my last video that I made. It's this person goes out and does for the community, right? And tries to make themselves look better than everybody else. Like they have to have the best of the best. They brag about everything that they do, every single situation. But in reality, they go home. It's a whole different type of situation.
Right. Because at the same time, he was coming home coming home to me, but to other people's homes as well.
Right.
Other females' homes as well.
So it's like an open relationship.
An open relationship on one end and closed on the other.
Right.
Because I was completely left in the dark.
So we had expectations of you to, as sort of what you want to call a relationship, basically in the home. But this guy had no issue belittling you, womanizing you, making you feel this big, right?
Yeah.
So
regularly.
There's a certain situation that you had talked about that I try to describe a little bit more about you making Thanksgiving dinner for 50, 60 people.
Yep.
Would you like to share more about that and maybe some other stories? Because that's the only story that I really tried to use on my last video. But I think you have other circumstances and situations that you could really talk about.
And I think it was actually right after my 6-year mark in my recovery where I got a message from a woman, again, on social media, who had told me, that my boyfriend had been messaging her all day the day before, had asked her, now she's not an addict in recovery, nor an addict at all, and had asked her if she wanted to take a drive with him like 2 hours away to go to a meeting and go out to dinner with her after.
Well, he's still dating you.
Yes, and the whole time, like, I'm at school.
Wow.
Like I'm at school, trying to go to a nutrition class, and I guess this is and all day while he was at work had been messaging her. So, but needless to say, I don't hear from him all day because he's really busy at work.
Right. Caught up.
He doesn't have time to message me. He doesn't text me and ask me how my day's been or anything like that. So I start getting these messages from this woman, and of course, as soon as he walks through the door, I confront him. And what happens with a narcissist is it's not their fault.
Right.
They're the victim.
Right.
She's crazy.
Right.
I'm crazy. She's crazy. He didn't do anything wrong. It was all a joke. That's what he told me. And I read that about narcissism too, right? Is where they will try to make your reality not a reality, right? So like the situation happened. The messages were sent to my phone. It was blatantly there, but like he'll try to tell me that that's not real.
What's that word that they use for people that lie and believe their own lies? There's a certain word. I forget what it's called. But anyways.
Yeah. A manipulator.
Yeah, basically.
It's just another form of manipulation.
Right.
So and I just chopped it up and I actually called my girlfriend and I said, listen, I'm going to need to come and stay with you. Like, I can't do this anymore. This is the same situation I've been in multiple times. I mean, at least a handful of times. I've had people show me screenshots of conversations that they've had with him. And every time he would have just enough information or just enough words to say to change the reality.
Well, I mean, it kind of sounds to me like he's justifying his actions and he believes in what he's saying to is actually the truth. When in reality, it's not. He's going out and he's making himself to be this big, helpful person in the community. But in reality, he's coming home, and like I said, when he's home, it's technically you're the victim. He's
Yeah.
victimizing you.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make you believe that what he's doing is okay, it's acceptable, and that you have to accept it regardless of the consequences.
Right. That I'm the one that I'm the problem because I'm not accepting his behavior that I feel is not okay. And you got to watch these types of individuals. I've learned is that they never have a pure motive. There's always something behind what they're doing, and for me, I do things out of the kindness of my heart. I have empathy for other people. I don't do something if I even feel the slightest bit that this could be wrong, I think of how it's going to affect others.
And you don't do it.
And I don't do it. So, I got through that situation. I found out that I was going to have surgery. That blew up in my face. He told me that my family didn't give a shit because my mom was incarcerated at the time, and I wanted to call my mom. He didn't understand why I wanted to call my mom. My mom's never cared about me anyway. It's just a laparoscopic surgery. You're in and out in the same day. It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he has a child. He's also not a female.
Right.
People who are young and when I got to my surgery, the nurse actually said, "You're really young to be going through this."
Yeah, and I mean, basically, it took a lot for you because now that you've had the surgery, you're never going to be able to have kids again unless you adopt.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with adoption because I'm adopted. You know what I mean?
And I'm a firm believer in adoption, but it was also like this huge mindset that I had to put myself in to become comfortable enough with this is a hurdle that I'm going to have to come over, and the courage that I had to obtain and this strength that I had to find just to wrap my mind around the fact of having surgery, let alone the fact that I'm in a relationship with a man who could care fucking less.
Right. So, I mean, basically, he's basically telling you to get over your surgery. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's what they do. That's what those type of people do is that, they try to feed you information to try to make you feel better. But in reality, it's not making you feel better. But they feel great because of what they said.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There was absolutely no empathy whatsoever that came from him about having to go through surgery.
He probably didn't even, say, listen, when you get your surgery, you come home, I'll help you, I'll take care of you, do whatever I need to do. No. If I got to take a day off from work, there's probably nothing like that, right?
You want to know what I was told? Because my surgery was on a Tuesday. He really said you couldn't have had it done on a Thursday or Friday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because it didn't work with his schedule.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But that's what it is. It's all about him. Really.
All about him.
It's not, relationships are a two-way streak. Like I said before, it's 110, 110. And relationship isn't a one-way streak where you're told what to do, made to feel a certain way. Obviously, if you're made to feel a certain way, then you're not loved, you're not cherished, you're not cared for. That's when the communication and the trust and everything goes out the window, right? There's none of that anymore.
Oh my God, it was like, I was so mind blown. And I looked at him and said, you know what? Don't come to the surgery. I don't need you to come to the surgery. My dad's bringing me. I pretty much made all of my arrangements for after surgery that did not pertain him. Mm-hmm. That I would be taken care of without him because I'd already known from past experience that he probably wasn't going to show up for me.
Right.
So then, so what had happened is he had a celebration for his recovery of 4 years.
This is with that Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes, and I made all this food, and I made a full-fledged 2 turkeys, like the whole 9, 10 pounds of potatoes. I made the turkeys and all of the fixings, and after the event, as soon as I walked through the door of the event, it was all downhill. We should have made baked ziti. He called and ordered 8 pizzas because what I did wasn't enough. And instead
of cherishing and sharing your food with the community, that's what he did. He went. Yeah. Did he make you go order the 8 pizzas?
No. He had already called. And ordered the 8 pizzas.
But he's telling you instead of all the food that you cooked
we should have done something different.
Make baked ziti.
Right.
Now, honestly, I think I would rather have a Thanksgiving dinner in front of my face than a baked ziti that's probably got jarred spaghetti sauce. That's not even tasty. But you come to my house with a Thanksgiving dinner, I'm going to cherish it. You know what I mean? I'm going to brag about it and put it on Instagram so everybody can see it. You know what I mean? Honestly.
Yeah, no, there was no bragging being done.
So what you had done, don't let me interrupt you, but
Oh, go
so
ahead.
what you had done is when you were at home, you made all this food and you did something. You called them and you asked for what? What did you ask for?
Yeah, I said, can you turn the oven on? Because obviously there's no way to keep all this food warm, and it's the middle of winter. How am I going to transport it from one place to another without it getting cold? Like that, for me, like that's not even feasible.
Right.
But he was like,
You want your food warm.
he was like, "What do you mean I have to turn the oven on?" I get to the church, and he was like, this is so stupid. We should have just made baked ziti. I'm like, you would have had to warm up baked ziti. Like, it doesn't matter what I made. It was going to have to be warmed up. Like,
The baked ziti's not even the point. The
Yeah,
point
the
is that you had made this
right.
dinner and you
I
wanted to
never
stay
even got a
warm.
thank you. So the whole thing goes on. I mean, I knew days, the month before that, when the woman was messaging me that this was coming to a close. And I was just really trying to buy my time to get through the surgery so I wouldn't have to move and add more stress to my life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, needless to say, after the event, his friend had said to me, "That was really good turkey." And
I bet it was.
it was. I thought it was delicious.
I bet it was. Home cooked food
Right.
is way better than anything else. Better than the freaking
No,
Little
no.
Caesars pizza.
You know what I was told?
What?
She just threw a couple turkeys in the oven.
Wow.
That's what
That's hurtful stuff right there.
You know,
You know?
and even his friend, who we don't see very often, comes up every once in a while, talk to her on the phone. He looked at him and said, "Can't you just be grateful?" And you know what the response was? "I don't need anybody to do anything for me."
Well, obviously, look where he's at now.
Perfect. I said, "All right then. I'll take that as my cue." I grabbed my purse, I grabbed my puppy, and in the car we went.
Your puppy is cute, though.
I know.
And I don't like
She's a
dogs.
doll.
She's cute as hell.
She's a doll.
So, anyways, so basically, you had your dinner. You walked away from a bad situation. You had the courage to grab your purse and your dog and to walk away, right?
Yep.
What happens next?
He sends me a message, said, "Once you get through your medical procedure, we should probably part ways." And I said, no. Like, I'm going to be the one to make this decision because, being the narcissist that he is, he has to make it look good on him so he can go and tell everybody that he left me. Right?
So it's basically he gets the final word.
Right, exactly.
Right. Okay.
So I went back to his house. I went up the stairs and I said, "Don't worry, I will be out this coming weekend. All my stuff will be gone." And I left. I didn't go back that night. I didn't go back until the next day when I knew he was going to be gone.
So, anyways, that's a miracle that you were able to have enough courage to just say, "I've had enough."
Yeah, and it's not easy, when you have some clean time and you've been in recovery for a little while to like actually have to admit defeat again, and have to call somebody and ask for help and, like, "Oh, she did it again."
A lot of people in your situations, they would have went to the nearest dealer. They would have went to the hospital, made up some sort of excuse. Or have justification for them to be able to use. So with that in mind, you did the right thing. You reached out to somebody in your support network. You had a really hard time. You've been dealing this with for years. And this person that invited you into their house, they had open arms for you.
Yeah. And he had just bought a house in September, and I was in my own apartment. It was a little one-bedroom place, and he came to this conclusion. He had got money. His mom had passed away. I was there every day, like every day, doing things for his mom till the last day she took her last breath. And he had gotten a little bit of money from her passing. He decided he was going to put a down payment on a house. And now, like a couple weeks before, he had started asking me questions about, like, can I afford the apartment on my own? Now, mind you, he wasn't paying any of the bills at my apartment, but he wanted to know, because I just leased a new vehicle, if I could afford all, like, he was asking me how much the bills were and trying to add it up to see
If he could do it on his own?
if I could do it on my own at the apartment and not move into his new house with him.
Gotcha. So there was a plan for all of this.
Hello, red flag, right?
Right.
And I totally was like, didn't even think about it. And it wasn't until like a couple weeks later that I was like, why were you asking me that? Like,
Well, you had gotten so accustomed to the way that the way that life was. And it was just, I mean, yeah, it was kind of a weird question, but at the same time, you didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, no,
you had no idea.
Right, exactly.
He blindsided you, honestly. Is what
And then,
did.
we're buying this house. I did not put my name on the mortgage. And at first I was like, why don't you want my name on your mortgage? And then I was like, you know what? It's probably a good idea if I don't do that because it's really hard to get out of a mortgage.
Right.
And I was like, then I have
Did
the
you
opportunity.
tell him that, or were you thinking that?
I was thinking that in the back of my head. And, and we had discussed it a couple of times of like, no, I have really good credit. He doesn't have such great credit. Like, that was his excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the back of my mind, I was kind of like, you know what? No, I'm not putting my name on that mortgage because if I want to bounce, I'm going to bounce.
Right. You were thinking about bouncing anyway.
Yeah.
You just had to get that big bag of courage and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you did, right? You moved out. You packed your stuff up. You got your stuff in storage. You live with somebody else.
Yes.
Right? This person that you live with has been kind of down a similar road as you and me.
She's wonderful.
We've had our struggles, and she's overcome her struggles. She's about almost 2 years in recovery now.
Yep.
And you got about 6 years. So, and it's not it's another female. So you guys are friends. It works out good, and it's amazing that there are people out there that will help you. Especially if you're able to talk about your issues with the same person that and they give you feedback, and you guys are able to have communications about your struggles and your life terms and everything else that's going on. So today really is basically about how Kimberly here had a ton of courage. She'd been mentally and emotionally abused for such a long time. And when you are mentally, emotionally abused, you actually get accustomed to this type of behavior that your partner is portraying on you. Even though you love this person, it's really extremely hard sometimes to walk away from a bad situation because it's all you know. There's a lot of fear, right? A lot of fear in relationships, such as, am I going to be alone? I've been so dependent on this person. Can I be independent?
Yeah.
How do you feel, Kimberly?
Well, there's things that come in financially, right? Like, I've done a lot of things over the last few years, like that I probably wouldn't have done if we were in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to a lot of different recovery events. I mean, from Ocean City, Maryland to Pennsylvania, all the way to Maine. Like, we went on a vacation in Maine at the end of August this past year. And I probably would have never done those things if it wasn't for him. So a lot of times in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm not going to ever be able to do these things again. Like, I'm not going to be able to travel the way that I've been traveling for the last couple of years. And like, all these different things. Am I going to be able to afford it? Am I always going to have a roommate because I can't afford it on my own? Like, these are the things that'll keep you there because it becomes a way of life. It becomes a lifestyle that you become accustomed to when you have a relationship with somebody that you're living with and you combine your incomes versus having a roommate. It's a little different.
And I want to speak on that real quick. I had a friend the other day, actually yesterday, I was talking to him, and I go ice fishing in the winter. It's part of my fishing show, Jeff and Bobby's fishing show. So anyways, the guy that I'm involved with, I'm like, listen, Chittenden Dam right now has ice on it. Let's go ice fishing. And he's like, well, I can't go there because I got bad memories there. And I told him to grow some balls. We're going there anyways to make new memories, better memories. So, Kim, for you,
absolutely, that could be another factor for sure.
Go back to these places and forget about the old memories, make new memories to better your life. You know what I mean? So you turn bad memories into good memories. Right?
Yeah, and also to not think about the things that I have done with him as bad. Right? They were good. In the moment, it was not the relationship in that form was good, but what we were doing was good.
Right.
The recovery conventions and those sort of things, those were good. Mm-hmm. I met people there. I got connected there. Some of those people I still talk to this day. So it's not that it was bad.
Right.
And neither one of us probably would have done those things if it weren't for each other.
Right.
So there's always a positive that comes out of it. Now, is there a lot of things like around my hometown that I don't really want to go to, certain meetings that I may not attend? Sure, for a little while, but that will pass too.
That's why we started this new channel.
That's right.
So that we can share our wisdom and our knowledge and our experiences with people that are kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say afraid of going to meetings, but have a hard time speaking, you know, or telling on themselves, really, because the only way that you're going to get better is by telling on yourself. And it doesn't matter what your situation is. You don't have to be a drug and alcohol addict to come onto this show. It could be anything. It could be like Kim's situation. Even forget about her addiction, right? She was involved in a bad relationship. We can talk about that here. You can talk about anything you want on this channel. You know what I mean, Kim?
Yeah, I do. And sometimes there's certain things that you may not want to share in a meeting. You know, especially with what I'm going through right now. Like, it's not feasible for me to go to a meeting where the same, 15 people are going to be at the next meeting that he's at, and I need to share where I'm at the night before, Right. I mean, even though I do, because I don't have to, like, hold up some type of image or facade for these people. Like, this is what's really going on in my life, right. Whether he wants to share about it or not. Right. I need to, for my own sanity.
I think too, this is like a new situation, that you're trying to overcome. So going to those meetings where he may be involved may not be what's necessary for you right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's basically what she's saying, is that, it's going to take time to heal.
Yep.
And once you heal and you, I wouldn't necessarily say get more courage, but once the situation dies down, then it might be more appropriate, right, to go back to those places that you came from. You know what I mean? A year from now, Kim might be in a new relationship with somebody and things are great. And now she can take her new man and go to these meetings and not worry about being judged or talked about or characterized as a certain mm-hmm. type of individual. Like I said, it's okay to cry. It's okay to show your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts. But sometimes you have to know how to do that appropriately.
Right.
And go to those certain places that you feel welcome. Because
yep.
right now, I don't know if Kim necessarily feels welcome because of the situation that's at hand.
Right. And that's why I choose to only go to certain places, mm-hmm. And hang out with certain people. And I don't need to be on the front of the NA Tribune.
Right.
Like I don't need that. If I want to share something with somebody, I'll share it with them. Or if you have a question about what's going on with me, instead of talking to everybody else, just come and ask me. Like, I'll tell you what's going on with me.
You're what? You're on Facebook?
Yeah.
All right. So if somebody wants to reach out to Kim, and Kim's going to be part of my show here. We're going to figure out how we can get she and I involved, and we're going to do this. But anybody wants to reach out to us, you can always get a hold of Light at the End of the Tunnel. You can always leave messages, right? I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I got 2 accounts, and I'm on Instagram. Instagram's a whole nother cup of tea, whatever. I'm not going to get into that right now. It's kind of hilarious, my thoughts and my views about that. But I am on that. I do promote everything I do on all of these 4 things I got going on, 4 different apps, whatever. And Kim, you can always reach out to her. I know that I spoke to a woman today who was in the same situation, and she was actually thankful and grateful to hear Kim's story. And I told this woman that Kim will be back on today to talk about her story and how she overcame her struggles and the courage that it took for her to walk away from the situation she was at hand. And now I have a new subscriber, this young woman that I met today. She's not ready to talk about her story, but she said that by me sharing our stories is giving her the courage to speak up and to share her mind and the things that she's been through. She's a public figure in the Rutland community, and she's not sure how she can talk about her stories right now because of what she does for work, and that's okay. But you can always reach out to one of us privately, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you and give you our sides and our views and our opinions, negative and positive. There may be things that we say that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, it usually does happen.
It happens a lot. But Kim and I are both straightforward people. We know what we want in life. We've taken time and shown a lot of courage in changing our ways, our thoughts, our behaviors, our thinking patterns. People that we associate with, affiliate with, lives have gotten better. But at the same time, you're always going to be involved with some sort of situation where you're going to struggle. Kim just got out of one. But you know what? The best part about today is that she didn't pick up and use any type of substance, right?
That's first and foremost.
So just for today, we are going to have courage.
Just for today.
Kim, do you have any other type of wisdom or knowledge that you'd like to share with our audience?
I would really just say, like, find at least one person that you can share something with. If you're going through something, talk about it. Like, you have to talk about it, or you're going to stay stuck there. And it may take multiple different people to give you the hope that you need to find to get out of the situation. And that's what happened with me. It took many, many months of people telling me, like, you deserve better, and until you really see it for yourself, are you going to make that change? But at least find one person that you can confide in, so that at least that one person knows where to find you if you stop showing up or aren't able to be reached. Like, somebody needs to know where you're at.
Me and Kim both know where there's a ton of resources out there. And if you need information, if you're not sure who to talk to, you can talk to one of us and we can lead you in the right direction to where we know there's help for each and every case. If you're homeless, if you have depression or anxiety issues, if you have a drug and alcohol issue, there's a lot of incidents out there that she and I can both help you with, me and Kim can help you with. So I think that we're going to wrap this up. Kim, I think that you are a blessing to a lot of females out there that struggle with the same situations and other stories that you have been involved with and that you're willing to share. I know that we both have a similar support network, and people tell me all the time how blessed and grateful they are that you are involved in their lives and that you do a lot for the community. And I see that, and I've known you a long time, Kim, and it's amazing how far you've come in your recovery and the type of person that you are. You're a beautiful person. Don't let anybody ever tell you that differently.
Thanks, Jeff, and I'm super proud of you too, man. I know where we both come from, and I'm really grateful to be here today, so thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Today's word is courage. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Deuces.